Last night at his Fox News town hall, Bernie Sanders was asked about concerns that have been expressed about Joe Biden's mental state. Here's how he responded.
Senator, this isn't a personal attack, but it gets to Nina's question. And the question of Joe Biden's mental acuity is not something that just comes up anywhere. Democrats have brought this up, including Senator Cory Booker, who endorsed Joe Biden today. Take a listen.
You just said that 2 minutes ago. Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago? Are you forgetting already what you said just 2 minutes ago?
I think that Castro has some really legitimate concerns about can he be someone in a long, grueling campaign that can get the ball over the line, and he has every right to call that out. There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
Are we afraid to say that a lot of his sentences don't make sense, that he's having trouble completing thoughts?
Senator, your thoughts?
I'm not going to go at that level in attacking. Joe and I have, that's for people to decide. All I can say is Joe and I have very significant political differences. And I'm not going to be making, personal attacks on Joe. That's not what I do.
And joining us now to discuss of Rebel HQ, Emma Vigeland. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, John.
Glad to have you here. We're going to be talking a little bit about Joe Biden today. So what did you think about Bernie's handling of that question?
When I read it, I didn't like the handling, but hearing how he responded there, I think he did the right thing. He's put in a really tough spot. By the way, great question by Bret Baier there. Never thought those words would come out of my mouth, but I think it's really important to point out that this isn't coming from Donald Trump. This isn't coming from, Breitbart. This was pointed out by Democratic candidates and the media, the candidates that are now endorsing Joe Biden, that Biden clearly has some issues with his cognitive decline. I'm not diagnosing him. I'm not a doctor, but he's unable to say things clearly. He's forgetting things in the middle of his sentences. And there's a reason that he's been in hiding since his massive win on Super Tuesday. This isn't because, he's incubating or anything like that. It's because his campaign thinks that he needs to be shielded from public scrutiny. And that's the only way that he's going to borrow Cory Booker's words, carry the ball over the line. And I think that that's important to point out. But Bernie Sanders, look, he gets attacked as being divisive no matter what he does. So he has to be extra careful to not cast dispersions onto other candidates like Joe Biden, even if it's fair.
Yeah, and look, I can't diagnose anyone either. And I understand that once the idea is in your head, you start to interpret things based on that. But for instance, there's a video going around this morning of Joe Biden interacting with someone asking him about gun rights. And Biden refers to AR-14s. And so is that a slip of the tongue? Is that an inability to come up with the term? I honestly don't know, but it does seem weird that the only person who could theoretically be hurt by a conversation about Joe Biden's, whatever the state of his brain is at this point, is Bernie Sanders. If he brings it up, he's gonna be the bad guy who's not showing unity, when we know that if Bernie Sanders was regularly having trouble expressing himself and remembering things, there is absolutely no way that MSNBC would not be full of people discussing what it represents and why are the Bernie bros still sticking with him when he's definitely lost a step.
Or, just to take a small tangent, if Bernie Sanders lied about being arrested in apartheid South Africa and then his campaign admitted that he lied, we haven't heard anything about that. But to bring it back to Joe's, obvious, I think, cognitive decline, this is going to be a huge problem in the general election. The media may think now all of a sudden it's uncouth to talk about now that he's the centrist front runner and they want to stop Bernie Sanders. But people who aren't ideologically aligned with the Democratic Party, who don't worship at the altar of the institution, are not going to see it like that. Look, Joe Rogan, I don't agree with everything he said, but he's a great kind of barometer for the apolitical average voter, average person, was just saying, listen to him talk for 1 second. It was like, no, this guy can't be president. That's gonna be so many people's reactions. When I looked up, I was, for work, I was looking up Joe Biden YouTube videos to do some research. Top suggested search, Joe Biden Alzheimer's. So you may think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair at all, but fine, make that argument, Democratic establishment, media, whatever. It doesn't matter. This is politics, and this is going to be a huge liability if he's going up against Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I know that they'll say like, how dare you bring this up? You're giving ammunition if Biden is the nominee. But like, first of all, that's already gonna happen. And second of all, we're giving you a chance to possibly avoid going down a road that might be very difficult electorally. We'll see if they'll listen. I assume that they will not. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.